Welcome to Infinite Love. Unwind with me while I sit here after a long work week in nostalgia because I was sitting in my office. And for the past 3 days, not by coincidence, I looked out my window and was greeted by a cardinal around the same time every single day for the past 3 days. I know one may not even think about how a bird can simply change everything in a moment. But throughout the self-healing journey, I see things differently. I feel things differently. And when a cardinal shows up, I just know it's someone I've lost from my past. I believe one of my guardian angels. So I smiled, grateful for the moment and the blessing. So I sent my cousin a picture, and she too has this great joy with it, celebrates with me, as we both believe in the same, that it's one of our guardian angels watching over us. But this time was different when I messaged her. Earlier, prior to messaging her, I felt a strong sense or presence and said, Grandpa. And then I went on to text her. And she immediately says, you need to name him. And at first, I thought, oh God, I don't have a name. But then I found myself immediately typing to her, Fred. And this rush of memories came over me, flooding through me. And I remembered that was the name or the nickname they gave my grandpa on my dad's side. And then I just went into meditation, deeply reflecting upon him, our relationship, and what it all meant to me, what it all means to me. I wanted to know why they called him Fred. And I say this because his real name is Brigito Gutierrez, but they always called him Fred, especially my grandma. And I never knew why. So instinctively, I reached out to my dad, and he gave me a silly answer his brother had told him. But he said, I don't really believe him. Now, if you know my father or my uncle, they're years apart, but they look identical, and they act and sound identical. And their humor is completely the same. When I say dad jokes, they have them. So I immediately text my uncle. And of course, he sent me none other than a meme and basically told me in a picture of the Flintstones, Fred and Barney, that apparently Barney didn't go well. It was too long of a name. So they chose Fred. I sighed with humor and basically told him that's not really what I was looking for, but thanks. And he went on to tell me a few other things in regards to his friends called him Chico, which meant little boy in Spanish. And he was the youngest of the brothers and sisters. I wasn't really disappointed in not knowing why the name was given. It wasn't even the point. The point was alignment of divine messages being sent. I believe that my grandfather was there, is there, and has been coming for the past couple days to watch over. And then I sat in reflection and thought more about our relationship. Now you see, my grandfather, beautiful, beautiful man, spoke mostly Spanish, which I didn't really understand. I attempted the language for 7 years, but never really picked it up. But it wasn't even so much of that as the communication barrier, but the fact that my grandfather suffered from Parkinson's disease, which would eventually take his life. So it was really hard to understand him. When I was at that age where I could understand him, I struggled. I struggled with breaking up the words he was mumbling and fumbling through, as well as the combination of Spanish words coming through. But we had our own communication, and that was through love. My grandfather openly and freely loved. His love for my grandmother was seen every single minute, especially when my grandmother passed. At that time, I had already been to several wakes in my life. I had dealt with loss and grief, but I didn't really know his side of the family, my Hispanic side. So not only was I introduced to new people whom I didn't know very well, but I saw a man kneeling at the casket, breaking down unbearably, clutching onto the casket, not wanting to let my grandmother go. And that's when I knew that him and I were more alike in many ways. As we love so deeply, so purely, so honestly. We love to the fullest, with no apologies, with no regrets. We love just to love. We're grateful for love. We're grateful for the moments. And as I continued to reflect, I smiled, realizing that beautiful divine connection. As children, we spent many weekends with our grandparents on my dad's side. And there were a lot of funny, great memories, especially trips garage sailing or sneaking the bread out of the oven to go feed the fish at the pond. And as we got older and my grandma passed, my grandfather couldn't really take care of himself as well as the Parkinson's was taking over. So he moved in with us. I was in high school, a sophomore. And I just remember hearing or seeing him suffering and didn't realize what he was suffering from until I got much older. Again, I was a teenager. I had my own drama, which breaks my heart in a way to miss out on those moments where I could have learned a little bit more. But again, no regrets, all divine timing. Anyways, my grandfather was in the Korean War, very young. So not only was this poor man suffering from Parkinson's, but he was suffering from severe PTSD, where he constantly woke up every single night from night terrors, nightmares, memories embedded into his brain, his heart, and his soul of the horrific events he had to go through. But he never talked about, he never shared openly. But you saw it, you felt it. Every single time you can hear him scream while he was sleeping. It was terrifying. There was nothing you could do. But yet that man woke up every day, giving you the biggest hug and kiss, embracing you and locking you into his arms, into his love, into his warmth. He still had the willpower to give so freely his love, while silencing his pain, his darkness, his fears. That man lived an incredible life, and yet we don't even know the half of it. What I do know is he would be so proud of his children, his sons, for becoming the men they are today. The men who lead with their hearts, their faith, their love, their devotion, their humor, their bond. My dad and my uncle are amazing, and I love seeing them together, laughing, crying, talking, sharing memories. There's always a sense of humor, of lightness, but of pureness, and it always embodies love. And that's what my grandfather was all about. And I know he's smiling down on them, on all of us, really, because that man embodied love and gratitude. And it really brought me to a enlightened sense of joy, knowing that I too have a piece of my grandfather within me. I too hold love in such a treasured, valued way. So you see, it wasn't by coincidence that I saw this cardinal tonight as I sat in my office, not worried about what I was going to share on my podcast or even if I was going to do one tonight. But I also had this weight upon me because this weekend is jam-packed with a lot of different events going on. So I was wondering when I could get it all done without rushing through it, but giving it the same love and care and compassion that it so deserves. And as I sat there in my office reflecting upon my thoughts, which is what I do when I do have those moments of heaviness, of weightedness upon me, as I release and let go and reflect and speak openly out to universe, to God, and receive this beautiful divine universal message as a gift, as a blessing. So you see, that's why the cardinal wasn't a coincidence. It was a divine message from my grandfather, which allowed me to reflect deeply and awaken to our relationship and our connection, our bond, and what we share in common, which is the gift of love. And I hold that so dearly and am beyond grateful for such a gift. And as I reached out to my uncle, I had mentioned I would love to know more about my ancestors from his side. As you see, most of them live in another state. And obviously with the communication barriers, at least at the time, is what I thought they were. I don't really know much about his side of the family, his brothers and sisters, any cousins I have. Obviously, I have one beautiful cousin from my uncle that lives close by, but I don't know the other side. And would love to know stories, would love to know our history, the past and the present, as I feel so connected to all of this, to my ancestors. It's an all-knowing without knowing, and I trust in that divinely. So what's the takeaway? Well, there are no coincidences. If you open your heart, your soul, your mind, to what is and live freely in the moments. They're messages if you so wish to receive them. And I do. And for me, because I openly accept and receive these divine messages, I'm blessed with gifts, gifts of messages, gifts of transformation, gifts of learning more and more about myself every single day. And those are keepsakes, treasures that fill my heart, my mind, my body, my soul abundantly. You see, I don't need the $1 million to be happy. When I have the love and the light from universe, from source, I'm already abundant. In this healing journey, the self-love and self-worth has allowed me to trust in myself and open my heart even greater to allow more love in which I so freely give to. And that's what I want for the world to be filled with more love than hatred, more kindness and compassion than fear, more peace and balance than frustration and chaos within. So if that's what my journey is and my soul's purpose, is to do all this work within, to reflect outwardly, to inspire and motivate others, then I accept. I accept willingly and openly and lovingly with gratitude. You see, if my grandfather can endure what he had to endure throughout his life and still choose love at the end of it all, of course I'm honored and humbled and blessed to be a mirror image of him. What a gift, what an honor to be the light in his own darkness, to still see beauty even in his pain. I was heartbroken when my grandfather passed, but what gave me solace was knowing that he was returning to my grandmother to be together in union as one. And that brought more peace and joy to my life, to my heart, to the grief I was going through. And I remember years later, I was at a casino and I was sitting there at the slot playing, and there was an elderly man next to me who was struggling, and I noticed that he had Parkinson's too. And I caught my soul breaking. I remember tears filling my eyes as I caught a glimpse and a reminder, a remembrance of my grandfather that I had yet to ever heal or talk about. You see, this is the kind of stuff I carried with me for so many years. Even through my own darkness, I carried others' pain too. I took that on and held on to it without knowing how to let it go, how to freely let it go and not hurt me or take from me. My heart is so big, and it's always been so big. I just didn't know the boundaries, and the lack of worth and love for myself also took a back seat because I so dearly wanted to help others, comfort others in their pain, in their time, help heal their wounds while taking on that energy and holding on to that and never releasing it, which then became my pain, my wounds, which buried my own personal wounds even deeper, even further back. And that's why the self-healing journey is so important to me and why I'm so grateful for it, because it's opened my mind and my soul to new beginnings, to change and transformation, to setting myself free and releasing all the burdens, the pains, the hardships, the aches, and forgiving myself and others and letting myself be free of what once was, because it no longer exists. So why carry it with me? Why hold on to it? It's not necessary. It's no longer needed. So moving forward without all this weight upon me has allowed me to really open myself up, to share, to express, to love, to feel, to forgive, to let go, and open myself to new beginnings of love, new friendships, new connections, new memories, new moments, new adventures, new blessings. Every single day, I am blessed, I am loved, and I am light, and I am healing. And I am grateful for this. There is no greater gift. So, Grandpa, thank you for many, many, many beautiful years together. So you see, the pain of death eventually turns into rebirth of life, of moments, of blessings of divine messages that allow you to heal, to have faith, to hold trust and surrender to blessings. So when I saw this cardinal coming 3 days in a row, I knew it wasn't just a coincidence. It brought me to a deeper connection with my grandfather, in whom I haven't really thought much about until now. and being awakened to such a beautiful gift that we share the essence of love within. Through our own darkness, we still choose love. Through pain, through turbulence, we still feel love. Through exhaustion, through fear, we've allowed ourselves to release that and feel love all around us. There's no greater gift than love, especially love within. And as that love within grows and grows and grows, it radiates outwardly. So I'm proud to love. I don't fear love. I don't shame it, deny it, reject it, or resent it. It's a gift I hold so dearly and am grateful for.